Welcome to the Hundredfold Journey. We help people step out of religious bondage and into true abundance. We invite you to embark on a journey, a spiritual journey called the Hundredfold. At a Hundredfold, we are a group of people developing new thoughts, habits, and beliefs to understand our true identity, to live our life purpose and experience the abundant life just the way Jesus did. Our mission is to provide support, encouragement, and resources to help you on your journey. The life you are meant to live is closer than you think. The journey is the destination, and your journey starts now. Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks again for joining us on this Grace Awakening Network program. We're here to come alongside of you because we're all on a journey together to know our true identity, live your life purpose, and experience true abundance. Because a Hundredfold is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So thanks for joining us today. We are in a series called I Am the Dwelling Place of God. And what we're doing is we're looking at the Old Testament tabernacle, which was the dwelling place of God. This is where the children of Israel were walking through the desert, and this was a portable tabernacle, which was the dwelling place of God, because this is a perfect picture of who we are. In 1 Corinthians, it says, "You are God's temple, and God's Spirit lives in you." And then John 17 says, "I have given them the glory you gave me, that they may be one as we are one." So we are one with God. We are his dwelling place. We are his tabernacle. But what does that mean? What does that look like? And what's this about the tabernacle? What is that all about? Well, it turns out that the tabernacle and the 7 pieces of furniture are different aspects of who we are. And we'll see that through the temple body. There were 7 pieces of furniture, and we're going through each one. And again, each one represents a certain energy level that is within us. And today we're going to be looking at the altar of incense. We also discovered in this series that these correlate perfectly with the chakra body. And again, when we get to the altar of incense, we'll see that that is the throat chakra, and the altar of incense is the prayers of the saints. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. And I really like this illustration of how the sevens, the amazing sevens that we see throughout basically the world, and in particular within us, the 7 words of Genesis 1:1, 7 words of creation, the 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 chakra energy centers, and then, of course, the 7 pieces of the furniture within the tabernacle. So again, today we're talking about the altar of incense, which represents heaven, which represents the throat, which is communication and sound. And we'll see, again, how that applies to us. So let's dig into the throat chakra and what this energy center represents. And again, the element is sound, and it is associated, the body parts, right, with the thyroid, trachea, the throat, the mouth, the inner man, and creative identity. Because when we speak, we're being creative, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and read. God has blessed each and every one with specific talents and gifts. We must have the ears to hear what he is calling his children to do on the earth today, right? So we're listening, and then we're verbalizing that on the planet, basically. So this allows us to speak from your highest self with unconditional love. And in Proverbs, it says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." So there is power in the tongue. And then James 3 says, "The tongue is also fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and itself set by fire by hell." I know those are strong words, And I purposely put that in there because it just shows the power of our words. And we'll read in a few minutes about James saying that with our voice, with our tongue, with our words, we both love, and we can express love and anger. And basically, James says it shouldn't be. It should just be love. But how do we do that? How do we balance it? It's when we know we have that power and we have the choice as to the words we choose. Now, what does it look like when our throat chakra is blocked? We can't express ourselves. We can't speak out. We're misunderstood. We're secretive, not a good listener. When we're balanced, it's confident expression. It's clear. It's creative. It's diplomatic. And then if it's overactive, then it's opinionated, it's loud, it's critical, it's gossipy, it's yell or talk over others, and it's harsh words. So we need to make sure that our throat chakra is balanced so that we're expressing uh, uh, clear communication, confidence, and I would just add out of love. So some of the physical problems, and what's cool about when we describe the physical problems is that when we're out of balance, then these symptoms will show up: a sore throat, laryngitis, swollen glands, voice problems, gum or tooth issues. So if we are not sure if we're in balance with our throat chakra, we can look at the physical manifestations and then go, okay, there's something going on in my throat that needs to be addressed. And it's not, I have a sore throat, it's, I'm out of balance. Okay. All right. So what does all this have to do with the altar of incense? And there's a lot of words here, but I do want to read it because it's important. Exodus 30 is where the altar of incense instructions on how to build it were presented. Then make another altar of acacia wood for burning incense. Make it 18 inches square, 36 inches high, with horns, and horns represent power, on the corners carved with the same piece of wood as the altar itself. Overlay the top and sides of the horns with the altar with pure gold. And as we've seen every single week, pure gold is God. That's the representation of God, and the wood represents man. And basically, it's wood overladen with gold. So that's showing our humanity as well as our divinity. Place the incense altar just outside the inner curtain that shields the Ark of the Covenant, for the Ark in front of the Ark's cover, the place of the atonement that covers the tablets inscribed with the terms, I will meet you there. So this is a meeting place. And that's what this whole tabernacle is as well, right? It's all talking about the meeting place of God. And that's where he's going to meet us. It's not out there, right? It's in here. It's in our tabernacle. Then every morning when Aaron maintains the lamps, right, the golden lampstand, which we talked a couple of weeks ago, he must burn fragrant incense on the altar. And each evening when he lights the lamps, he must again burn incense in the Lord's presence. So this is a continual incense or smoke that comes from this altar. And it's to be managed morning and evening, right? So it's continual. And I've got this underlined, do not offer any unholy incense on this altar. So it's very specific. And here's the recipe, Exodus 30. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather fragrant spices, resin droplets, all these specific spices are to be gathered and mixed in a very certain way. And when it's done correctly, it's considered pure and holy incense. And again, he says, I will meet you in the tabernacle. You must treat this incense as most holy. So connect the dots here, right? We're talking about the throat chakra, which is the altar of incense, which is made of pure gold. And it's supposed to burn 24/7 all the time. And God's going to meet us here, right? And in a sense, it's here. and we'll talk about that next week. But it's pure and holy and is very specific requirements that are needed for this incense to burn continually. And then you correlate that to Ephesians 4. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building up others according to the needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So this incense and this mixture of spices and such and fragrances, um, it's talking about the words that come out of our mouth, and it should be wholesome. Whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is right, those are the words that should be coming out of our mouths. So here is where the altar of incense is. So as we've been going through each and every week, we've been talking about the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, and then now we have the throat chakra. And I just would like you to see what is developing here in regards to this pattern. Notice that it's forming the shape of a cross, right? Which is pointing to Christ that is within us. So the cross is within us, right? Here's a different kind of way of looking at it. So, working right to left, you'll see the altar of incense right there in the middle. And that's where the smoke are the prayers, the altar of incense. And you can see that in fact, I didn't point that out, but on the other side of that curtain is where the Holy of Holies is. That's where the Ark of the Covenant is. And this is just outside of that room, and it's separated by a curtain, right? As you can see there. And then there's another picture. Again, the horns represent power, and it's a continual smoke, continual prayer. Now, speaking of that, I want to emphasize, our words and the tongue that represents the throat. And in Revelations, it says, "Then another angel with gold incense burner came and stood at the altar, and a great amount of incense was given to him to mix with the prayers of God's people." So again, the altar of incense is the prayers of God's people. And I know in those other verses in Exodus, it didn't really say it was the prayers, but that's what this symbol represents. It's the prayer of the saints. And the smoke of the incense mixed with the prayers of God's holy people ascended to God from the altar. And that's what, again, it's not out there. It's ascending in a sense from our throat right to here. It's the difference between our heart and our throat and our mind. And that's where God meets us. But here's the power of those prayers. Then the angel, verse 5, then the angel filled the incense burner with fire from the altar and threw it down upon the earth, and thunder crashed, lightning flashed, and there was a terrible earthquake. So this represents the power of our words and the power of our tongue, that it had the ability to, thunder, lightning, and earthquakes. That's the power of the tongue. And then in James, and I'm sorry, there's a lot of words here as well, but this talks about our words and our tongue. My brethren, let not many of you become teachers, knowing that you shall receive a stricter judgment. For we stumble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is perfect man, able to bridle the whole body. And then he describes a horse's bit in a mouth, and how that horse, as powerful as that horse is, he is able to control it with a bit in the mouth. And then you look at ships, big ships, and their course is set by a very small rudder. And that is the power of the tongue. And then the last illustration is the tongue is fire, right? A world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body and sets fire the course of nature. So just a small spark will set a blazing fire. So that's how important our mouth is, our words are, our tongue is, because it has that power to alter outside. But no man can tame the tongue. It is unruly evil, full of deadly poison, right? So what he's doing is he's just contrasting. The power also has the power to love and gratitude, um, but he's demonstrating just how powerful it is by going with the negative connotation here, which is deadly poison. And here it is. We bless God and Father with it, and then we also curse man. Shouldn't be this way, right? So then the last verse, verse 12, can a fig tree bear olives, or a grapevine bear fruit? Uh, Thus, no spring yields both salt water and fresh. So it's basically saying it's either one or the other, right? And we get to choose what words come out of our mouth. And how do we control that? We control it by understanding just how powerful it is, just the understanding of knowing that we have this power, um, being aware of it and being conscious of it, then we can make a change to it rather than just going, subconsciously, this is what I've always done. This is just who I am. No, that's not the case. You can make that change. All right. So here's some pictures that I thought were good. The power and might of a horse is controlled by a small bit, right? So we can control it. And then I thought this was interesting. I just did a little thing on a ship. So here's a cruise ship, and the power and might of a ship controlled by a small rudder. Uh, like a typical cruise ship, it's 1,000 feet long, 120,000 tons, which is like equivalent to 82 cars, can be controlled by a 10 to 16 foot wide rudder, which is only like 3 to 5% of the ship lengths, and then about 1% of the ship weight. So just imagine the power of those rudders down there that's controlling this huge ship. It's pretty amazing. So that's the power of your words. And then this one is the flame, right? And that little spark can then create this. And I think maybe we've all experienced that in our lives, right? We said something that we regretted later, and then all of a sudden a fire, with relationships or whatever, got consumed just because of that one word. And Proverbs says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So here's the fruit of a negative statement, right? And all it takes is just a little spark, just a little flame. Um, I thought it was interesting in the 7 I am statements of Jesus. I actually went to the Hebrew word spelling of specific words, and I thought I would do that the same with these words, like God said. So God's voice in Genesis, he spoke. He said, "Let there be light." And there was light. So the word there is Amar in Hebrew, and the spelling of that, you can see the Hebrew words, but each of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet actually have a meaning behind them. So you can see that Amar, the way it's spelled, is first strength, mighty, most important. So when God speaks, it's the first, right? It's mighty and it's most important. Let there be light, and there was light. So his words, the power of his words, are the same as our words. And the way we can see that is because Genesis 2, the way we speak is through our breath. And we have that same breath of life within us. The only way that you're hearing me through this channel is because the breath that is vibrating on my voice box so that you can hear my voice. And it's because of the breath of life. So the same breath that God used to say, let there be light, is the same voice, the same breath that I say blessings and cursings here on earth, which is pretty powerful when you think about that. Now, how about the word tongue? The word tongue in Hebrew is lashon, and those words in Hebrew state a staff to control, sharp, joined together, to spread, or offspring. So think of a staff in your hand, and you're controlling, the sheep, if you will, of your flock. But it's also sharp, it's pointed, right? And if you look at some of these, the definition: teeth, uh, point of a rock, a peak, to devour, consume, destroy. So we have the power of the tongue to destroy or to bring life. And then it joins together, and then it's offspring. So just like that flame, right? The offspring of that flame was the fire. And then how about the word incense? Incense is ketoret, and these are the prayers of the saints. So it's the incense, and that one is last, final, twist or coil. It's most important, and again, it joins two things. Now look at the word, the letter teth: a snake, to surround, to twist, a twisting or coiling, right? And the first thing I think about is the serpent, right, in the garden, and that the words that were twisted, that was used um, to trick Eve into eating that. So those are the power of your words. Again, it's the twisting and coiling. It's most important, and again, it joins two things. And then the last one is prayer. Let's take a look at what prayer is. And again, in Revelations, it's the prayer of the saints. And again, it's joining two things: speak, a staff to control, and then to reveal. So same thing, the power of your words. They're joining two things to reveal. And what are they revealing? They're revealing what's in your heart, and it's being revealed as a mirror, because life is a mirror which reflects back. So when we understand the power of our words, then we have to make sure that we choose our words wisely. So again, the tongue, the incense, and the prayer, each of those words in Hebrew have tav and va in them, which are the ones that join two things. So the question is what's joining? And we're joining the sound, the vibration, the frequency, the emotion of your words are joining and connecting people and things, right? What's joining is we understand that what happens when you yell at someone or say to them you hate them, they feel the words of that frequency and vibration and feel the anger of that hate. Conversely, the same thing that happens when you say that you love someone or that they're amazing. They feel the words and the frequency and the vibration of that love, because there's frequency, energy, and vibration that's coming from you, and people pick up on that. Just like this picture, right? The power of your words. Here's someone that's speaking negatively to someone, and you can see that it's being reflected. So that's the manifestation. He is joining, because of his anger, her with him, and now she's feeling that anger and that hatred, or whatever he's saying to her. She's feeling it. Just the same as this one, where he's speaking love or she's speaking love to him, and there's that frequency and that energy of love. That's the power of our words. So our words are the connectors of heaven and earth. So how does that work? So heaven, God, has given us everything that we need for life and godliness. So what we're doing is we're taking the words of God, the word of God, the promises of God, and what we're doing is we're taking those words and we are manifesting them here on earth, right? So they're the connectors, right? We're connecting heaven and earth. So here's some examples, right? God has given us everything for life and godliness. That's a word of God to us. Do we believe it? And if we do, then we manifest that. We speak that here on earth. So we're connecting the two. God has given us the same glory as Jesus. God has created us to rule and to reign in this life. God has given us the power of the tongue to create life and death with our words. So we're joining together our words with the life we choose. Choose your words wisely. And then Matthew 18, again, truly I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything that they ask for, notice the speaking, it will be done with the Father in heaven. So it's joining heaven and earth. So let's talk just briefly about Proverbs 18 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So what are some death words, right? So you're lazy, you're not good enough, you're ugly, I hate my job, I'm never going to make it, there's never enough time. God is angry at me. I wish I had more time. I will probably get sick. So the power of the tongue, when you are speaking this, you are moving heaven and earth down, but this in a negative way. These are death words because again, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So what words are you speaking about yourself and about your life? These are causing death. What are some life words? You are amazing. You can do it. You're beautiful. I'm on the right path. I love the people I work with. I got this. I am the dwelling place of God. God loves me unconditionally. I am healthy and strong. Those are life words. So the fruit of your words will be manifested through the words you choose, the death words or the life words. Right? And just think about how powerful again we are, right? The bridle, the rudder, and the flame. And they work either way, right? They can work through the death words or the life words because our words will manifest because there is power there. So what seeds are you planting? And they will bear fruit, right? So if the death words, right, it'll eventually grow, right? Or the life words, what seeds are you planting? And here are the seeds that I recommend planting. These are called the 10 truths. I don't have time to cover this, but you can find these words on the website, the100foldjourney.com. So go there, pull this down, and start using or speaking these words into your life and planting these seeds of, I'm always at the right place at the right time. God has granted me favor in the sight of those around me. So use these words for life. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Ark of the Covenant. And then, of course, here's the link to our website. So you can go to that QR code, pull down those 10 truths. So that's it for this morning. Thanks for your time, and we will see you next week.